What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to the Working Title Podcast. It's a working title because we're indecisive and stubborn, and stubbornly indecisive. And today we're talking about our guilty pleasure anime. That'll be later. And then first, we're starting out with the disappointing anime. And I'm here with the boys. There's David.
Hey.
And Connor.
Greetings.
And Michael.
What's up, y'all?
And so, what is some really hyped up anime that was ultimately disappointing? I mean, we know SAO is going to be here.
Why? No, seriously. Why are you saying SAO?
Because SAO was hyped as shit.
I cannot believe you think
it was. It has
All
brought
right.
so many people into the goddamn anime sphere, but it's ultimately horrible.
Are you counting all of it or just the first 15
It
episodes?
has like 3 or 4 seasons now, right?
Yeah,
Bro,
and
it's got video games and stuff. It's great.
I haven't given it a chance after the first season, so maybe I'm.
People
It
say
had
the gun world was good.
No,
just
it
ignorant,
wasn't.
but-
It was horrible.
Huh?
Like the first season was decent, and then season 2, part 2 was actually pretty good, but only because Kirito wasn't there. But
Oh.
overall, it's not good.
No, hear me
There's-
out. It was great because the main character wasn't there.
No, I mean the character, like Kirito, is just everything just works out for him. He gets all the legs up, and it's basically an isekai anime, except there's no redeeming qualities. Like he takes itself too seriously. He is like a harem guy, but he's just he's just a shithead. Like he's not a good person.
I
They
agree.
just want you to think he's a good person.
I wouldn't say SAO was infamously disappointing because I feel that when many people watched it for the first time, they're going in blind, and it was kind of the first of its kind that really like hit the map with the whole Isekai thing. And the first, I don't know, what is it, 13, 14 episodes? Like the first half of the first season is great. And then it's just really not great. It's pretty awful and it's hard to watch. And then I think a lot of people dropped it and was like, yeah, whatever, I'm done.
He turns into Jesus Kirito Christ and like can't be defeated by anything ever.
Yeah,
But
it's
when he
not
meets those
enjoyable.
guys on the bridge, I mean, it's a huge time skip, and then he just walks across the bridge, and now they just slash him to shreds, but he feels nothing.
And it has no
Like-
humor or self-awareness. It's
No,
like
no.
way too serious about it.
Hmm.
It's not like One Punch where you're like, oh, I get it, it's a gag. He's like, no, he's serious. Through the power of friendship, he prevails. You're like, oh my goodness, get me out.
It's not nearly sarcastic enough for how stupid it is.
So the only people who I've ever seen make SAO worth watching is Team 4 Star and their abridged version. It's
Well, all of their
hilarious.
British versions are so good.
I mean, it's true, but their SAO one, it makes Kirito actually how he would be if it was like real life, and it throws in that humor that SAO is missing. Like SAO, like everyone's been saying, it takes itself too seriously. It really is like trying to just shove it in your face that Kirito is the Messiah and that you should be worshiping him.
I mean, like, so do y'all have one of recent memory that you recently watched that you were like, oh man, this was going to be so good, and then it just turned out either garbage or very underwhelming, which could be even worse, honestly.
I have one that took way too fucking long to get good, and that is Attack on Titan.
I was gonna say Attack on Titan in general was just disappointing for me.
So much build up.
Mhm.
It got good, but
I don't know, man. I don't think I ever got to that part.
I mean, it was hard to.
It was
'Cause
just not.
It was like 6 years before it got fucking good. Like,
Ugh.
come on, guys.
I
No
hate-
wonder I never got it.
I hate watched the first season because like everyone told me how good it was, and I was like, I've never seen it, and I'm gonna give it a shot. But I swear to God, if this isn't good, and it was just a drag. And then later on, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the first season is really bad." And I was like, "Oh, is that all? Just the whole like first 20 episodes are garbage? Just keep at it until it gets
Yeah,
good."
you just
I
got
was
to
like,
get through that.
I was like, "No, thank you, irredeemable."
I stopped after the
Disgusting.
first like 5 episodes because I hated the characters so much. Like I hated them and I couldn't watch it. Like I'm a character person, and if I can't stand the characters, then I'm not gonna sit through it. I just can't do it.
Dude, just everything about Attack on Titan was just felt so underwhelming to me.
But
I
people
didn't
say
I
it
didn't
gets
like the
great,
characters.
right? Like after the
A
first
lot of
season.
people like it.
Like now,
A
it's
lot of
on,
people
like,
say the third season is the best.
yeah. Now that there's like 3 or 4, they're like, no, it gets really good. It's like, well, I don't want to wait through all the shit to get there though.
I feel like that's a cop out though with a lot of anime because people will be, oh, just sit through all these episodes and eventually it'll get better. It's like if your introduction to the series is like a painful experience, I'm not gonna sit through it to get to this possibly good portion. And it could just be at this point that you're just being stubborn and you just want it to be good and it's not actually that good.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
where David brings up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I have a mixed bag of feelings about JoJo.
Just
Over-
accept that you're a
overrated.
JoJo's fan.
No,
Overrated.
I like JoJo, but I also
Overrated.
think it's unfair of people to say you have to watch the first 2 seasons and then it picks up. Honestly, the first 3 different JoJos, and then it's like, oh, then it hits its stride. It's like, what do you mean, dude? That's like 70 episodes. That's it. Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
That's like a general mentality right now, though, with anime and other things too, like video games. Oh, they'll patch it in post. People are okay with slogging through bullshit in the hopes that it gets better, and I don't understand it, but maybe some people have more time on their hands.
But the payoff is never, even if the payoff is amazing, it won't be as good if it's a slog to get through.
I mean, I agree,
Yeah.
but a lot of people fucking don't.
I don't-
Apparently,
that's so weird.
I
can't
don't know
wrap my head
what
around it.
societal shift made that okay, but apparently it is now.
Again, I think it comes down to like you almost convince yourself that all this time that you spent is worth it. I mean, and I'll actually use this example like with Bleach. Like I finished reading Bleach, like all of it,
Wow.
and
You're
it
a
was
trooper.
hard.
I admire your conviction.
Well, see, and that's the point. Though I will say it's not good. Bleach isn't good. The fact that I made it through was just out of pure stubbornness, and at no point did I was like, "Oh, the next chapter, things are gonna change. People are gonna be awesome. It's gonna make sense again." That was never gonna happen. But I had to finish it. So I think and you do get a sense of like completion when you go through all of that, and you do make it to the other side, and you're like, "Yes, I did it." But that doesn't make the anime good. That just means you've made like a personal accomplishment.
I think the big 3, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, are exceptions to the rule because they're so long, and people that watch them and continue to watch and continue to read, even though Naruto and Bleach are over, it's like how do you get someone into that? If you've never watched any of it and you're like, no, just sit down, it's only 1,000 episodes. It's like, no way anyone does that. But because people watched it when they were growing up for whatever reason, and then they just stuck with it. It's like a sunk cost fallacy. You're like, well, I've already spent this much time. Like, might as well. Like, it's going to get good, or I'm going to start enjoying it more. But I think those are the 3 that are like, because people watched it early on and they got hooked when it wasn't 1,000 episodes, then they stuck with it. But nowadays, it would be near impossible to get someone to, hey, man, go check that out. Yeah, it's 1,000 episodes. Oh, there's a ton of filler, and it doesn't end that great. So it's about the journey. Like, that just seems such a daunting task nowadays.
I have not watched any of them, and I can tell you, I really don't plan on it because it's just. I look at Naruto and I'm like, well,
Well, you never watched Bleach?
no.
I feel like I know this. But
I've told you, I've never watched
it still
Naruto.
surprises me every goddamn time.
I know every time
Yeah.
you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
It's pretty crazy.
But I've never seen Bleach, Naruto, or One Piece.
Dude, you should watch Bleach.
Yeah, don't worry.
up until the end of the Soul Society arc, and then
What
and then
episode is
it-
that, man? Like episode 300?
No, it's
It's
like
like-
episode 69.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's like in the 50s.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Wow, that's not bad.
It's really good, though.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
I see. I just don't. I don't know, man.
Maybe
It
it's
seems so
nostalgia
daunting.
blinding
I'm
me.
just like not
Like,
about
when
it.
did Naruto go downhill? After the first tournament arc? When Pain came and like resurrected everybody? The whole Pain thing? Yeah.
Now that's when I stopped watching, is after Pain resurrected everybody.
Like
Spoiler
everyone
alert.
dies and then he resurrects everyone. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this didn't matter at all.
They killed off Kakashi and then gave it magical resurrection. You're like, oh, so nothing fucking matters.
Yeah.
I think Naruto has multiple points at which they were breaking moments, but to me, the big breaking moment was when Orochimaru first introduced Resurrection Jutsu. The moment you make death cheap in an anime, and then you take that cheap death and make them unstoppable, I almost feel like the author wrote himself into a corner with that, because what can you do with that? And Orochimaru is never really dealt with, ever. And then you have if you're watching Naruto, you have the 100 episode of nothingness.
Yeah. There's tons of
That
filler.
is torture.
That
That
was rough.
section
That
is
was rough.
how Naruto continued to have fans after that will forever like flabbergast me, because it was horrible.
I will say, I agree that when you make death cheap, it kind of ruins it and it doesn't have a lot of meaning and impact after. But when I was younger, I was so fucking hype when he brought back all the old Hokages. I was like, oh shit, what's going on? But then you realize they were like immortal and unkillable. And it's just, you're like, oh, well, there's no stakes. Like, they'll just
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, just like having like zombie characters that are powerful. Okay, I might be okay with that, but they can resurrect. They're unkillable, and they are immediately and forever controlled by the person who summons them, unless you're like Itachi.
Wow, that sounds OP.
Best
But
boy.
that no, it was a fucking OP thing, and there was no way around it. And I feel like it came to bite the author in the ass, because he now has to deal with these immortal characters that one of his bad guys just keeps summoning. And I like I said, I think it does cheapen death. Like the Pain thing when he resurrects everybody, yeah, that was stupid. That was fucking stupid, because it means like there is no sacrifice. If you notice in Naruto, there's maybe only one or two like big characters that died permanently.
Itachi, Jiraiya.
Three.
I mean,
So
my
four.
boy.
So Itachi, Jiraiya, the guy with the two knives who taught Shikamaru.
I don't know.
Um,
I forgot about him fucking dying.
he dies, and then Neji.
Yeah.
Neji dies.
Neji dies? Oh, damn.
I
In the
didn't
last
know. I
like
didn't know
episode.
Neji dies.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Spoilers, guys.
You're not
But
going
he-
to watch it.
I know. I know.
But Neji dies in the stupidest way possible, because it's like it's like he kills him just to make a point that yes, I did kill someone, but it was meaningless. It's like it didn't make any sense. It had no impact. It like Naruto just existed.
Kind of like later seasons of Game of Thrones. People just started dying off with like no impact. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
They
this
ruined that
shouldn't
show.
have. I just think there was just a lot of things just because it's so long, and because I think unlike books, like anime, it almost feels like they write it like weekly. So there's like no overarching draft until maybe further on. These authors would just add new rules, new abilities, new powers that trumped all the other ones, and you eventually just write yourself into a corner, because everyone like, yes, I have the secret move that can destroy the world. Haha, but I too have the secret move that can destroy the world. Then I guess we must destroy the world.
It's like power creep. And I guess that happens in every kind of media. Like
I mean, it's bound to happen after 1,000 episodes.
yeah.
Yeah, right?
People complain about shows that drag on too long. Like, oh, it's been 8 seasons and like it's like the last half is bad or whatever. It seems like a ton of anime don't come out with the idea of like, here is our idea, here's the execution, it's going to be a season or two or this many volumes or chapters, and then it's over. They're like, oh, this got super successful and famous, let's keep pumping it out and just like drain all the money and all the soul out of it, you know?
I think that speaks to the manga and the anime industry, because I'm pretty sure like when you're first writing a manuscript to submit to a magazine, you don't have everything planned out unless it's like a mini like 5 chapter long thing. A lot of times it's like, oh, We're gonna put this out, this pilot episode or like this pilot chapter. We'll see what the response we get. If people like it, keep making more. If your ratings keep going up, you'll need to keep making more.
Yep.
So we don't want you to have like a cut and dry thing. But I think that does speak to the anime that does have that full-fledged out storyboard. I would say that Cowboy Bebop is one of those. And that's why it's so good. It has a concise story with well drawn out characters.
And the ending is amazing. And it ends and doesn't drag on.
Yeah, and it ends. God.
It's like so anime is generally nowadays just an advertisement for the light novel or the manga that it's based off of. So it'll be 12, 13 episodes and the ending is non-existent, or it's like a huge cliffhanger and it's like, aren't you going to go buy the manga? And you're just like, I mean, not really. Like that wasn't enough. And even if you do want more, it's like, oh, fucking fine, I guess. It's been a while since I've seen a seasonal anime with like 12, 13 episodes. And I was like, man, I feel super satisfied after that. Like, what a conclusion. Wrapped up nice and neat in a shiny bow. Like, it's always like some weird cliffhanger or it just has a rushed ending. And it's like, now go buy the manga.
I think Recreators ended satisfyingly. I honestly can't remember. It's been, 2 years since that seasonal anime? But that's like the only one that I'm thinking of. That and Blood Battlefield Blockade. I can never say that title correctly. Maybe. But those two seasonals are really good. Y'all should check them out. Recreators is like a reverse isekai. The authors bring the characters into our world and they fight. And Blood Battlefield Blockade is fucking insane. I don't even know how to go about describing it. It's just wacky and over the top and awesome.
All I need is the name.
So I have a good one that I recently watched that was hilariously disappointing. It's called it's called Seeing Yesterday to Me. Dude, I was so hyped because it had these dark color palettes and it looked all gloom and doom, and it was supposed to be about life after graduating college and like the life crises and the despair and the like directionlessness. Like, what do I do now? The first 3 episodes start off and it like pulls you in, you care about the characters, and you're like, oh, this is dope. But then the more it went on, just like the weaker it got and the less I cared, and the ending felt rushed. And so overall, it started off great, stagnated in the middle, and then just ended like a flop. I was like, damn, that was like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't cringy. It wasn't hard to watch, but it left me wanting so much more that I was like, this is like, that's awful. I would have rather it just been total garbage than just be so horribly middle, like of the ground. Like, oh my goodness. It made me mad. I was like, I was so excited and it turned out to be so fucking average that
How many episodes did it have?
It's like 12, 13. It came out a season or 2 ago.
Like, I'd rather watch an anime and it just be terrible in the first 3 episodes and me never get my hopes up than have that happen right there.
It's a frustrating experience. There's one anime that sticks out to me that kind of happened like that. It was called Legend of the Legendary Heroes, and it looked really cool. Had like these really like badass fight scenes, cool magic, like interesting fantasy world. Watch all 12, 13 episodes of the thing, and it ends right before like the final battle.
Oh, gross.
What?
And there was they had no plans to make another season. It was like nothing. Like, it just ended right before the final battle. So and you're just like, why did I watch this?
I guess it also depends on the genre. Because if it's comedy, so like Konosuba, I was super fine. I was like, yeah, it's just a gag show. It's really funny. Like, I don't care how it ends right now. Like, I just want the jokes.
It's not just a gag show.
It is totally a gag show.
It's so much more.
It is so much more.
Uh-huh.
The deepness of the explosion, David.
Yeah, really. Okay. But and then if it's like a story driven plot with character development, and if that ends abruptly in a rush, you're like, man, that was fucking lame. But if it's just some like slice of life wholesome comedy, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I like got my fill. It was about the journey, not the destination.
There's so much character development in Konosuba, David.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they've changed
Cosmo
so much.
goes from a panty stealing degennerate to
a panty stealing degenerate.
A multi panty stealing degenerate.
Yeah, he's the same guy throughout.
But he believes in true gender equality. That man is a paragon. Paragon, is that a word? Connor, is that a word?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it
a
is.
paragon.
It
of,
is definitely a word. I don't
of
know. If
I
man-
think you're
Manhood,
trying to
right.
say paradigm.
Paragon. So Paragon
Paragon.
is like the apex, the
Hey,
top,
see, I used it right. All
or
right,
like
paragon
the
of
example
manhood,
that
You're
you
kinda
look up
lucky.
to.
the archetype of manhood. But anyway, that was just my point. I love Konosuba. I will never let anyone
I
say
think
it's
we
just
all
a
love
gag
Konosuba,
show.
and it is a gag
Dude.
show.
Konosuba is awesome.
I'll say One Punch Man's a gag show, but it's fucking awesome. Doesn't make it not good.
Oh, dude. Talk about disappointing. The second season of One Punch
Oh
Man.
yeah, that hurt.
God.
That was
That
that
was-
was embarrassing.
Such terrible payoff.
You know it's
For how
crazy?
great
If the
the
first
world was.
season wasn't as amazing as it was, people wouldn't have been as upset.
Yeah.
But what shoes to fill? Oh my
The
goodness.
first season had to be it was just so perfect.
Well, I don't know why you gave that up. I mean, you had a money
Yeah.
cow right there.
You
I
could have
don't
pulled from the
understand.
tree for a long time.
I don't understand.
From what I
but-
read, it was a bunch of like freelancers all came together at the right time to do it. Like, yeah, there was a main studio, but a bunch of different people came in and freelanced and helped on it, and that's why it was so good. And then they all had different projects and stuff, and they couldn't get them back. And they switched studios, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they
So-
definitely, yeah, they switched
The
studios.
new studio did not do great.
So it was like, oh well,
Whoever you are out there,
burn
Can't
bright,
remember.
die
Let me-
young.
Let me Google.
the first season of One Punch was so good. 13 episodes of greatness, and then just second season did not even follow close.
I will say, like, within that genre, so Konosuba and One Punch Man, I think One Punch Man
Both furry.
would have a harder time with a second season and more seasons after that, because of the type of gag it is. Like Konosuba is making fun of the isekai genre, and which means the main character isn't going to be super overpowered because that's kind of the thing about isekai anime is that the main character's overpowered in this like fantasy world. While One Punch Man is kind of making fun of more of like the DBZ, like, super like powerful
Shonen,
like
yeah.
shonen anime. So I think it's a lot easier to draw out Konosuba, especially with like overarching story plots, even if they're ridiculous and funny, than it is to draw out One Punch Man.
You know what else was a horrible disappointment?
You bring up a good point.
Fire Force. You guys watch
Hell
that at
yeah,
all?
dude. Dude, I forgot about that shit. Yes, that was the biggest disappointment, and it has such a fucking banger of an intro.
Yeah, it was
I-
really pretty.
I have that
animation.
on my liked songs playlist on Spotify.
Wow, that much of a banger.
It's really
it's
good.
awesome, and it was so hype.
So should I just watch the intro and not the anime?
Yeah, pretty much.
I
It got a season 2, so obviously it did well enough, but
I mean, I guess.
it was super middle of the road, dude. It just like super pretty animation, but just it was like super average, and it's not what you wanted from it. It looked so pretty. You're like, fuck, I'm so hype, and then you're like, eh. Like I watched that and Dr. Stone when they were airing, and I kept up with Dr. Stone because that was at least pretty fun. Fire Force was just bleh. I stopped after like 6-7 episodes, something like that.
Yeah, and it has the shark teeth. Like people don't really like the shark teeth a lot of times, but
I do not.
It's the guy that did Soul Eater.
but
yeah.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm a big Soul Eater fan.
I enjoyed it in Soul Eater.
Is that Bones? Bones does the shark teeth.
I think so.
You guys like Soul Eater? I didn't really watch it, but
It was kind of fun. It
I'm a big Soul Eater fan.
was enjoyable overall.
don't they?
It's like
end
a-
with Power.
It's like a
Friendship?
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you know?
Yeah, that is
It's
my
a fun-
favorite guilty pleasure.
Oh,
It's
fuck
a fun
off.
ride.
Fuck off, both of you. Don't you talk about the pinnacle of anime like that?
The Paragon, some would say.
yeah.
The Paragon, yeah.
Here's a quick question, kind of taking it back towards like Fire Force and some of like these new anime, like these new shonen anime, the big tier ones. Do you think it may be because like we don't find them as interesting or just like blasé? Like we can appreciate the animation, but maybe not the storyline because we're older, and those anime are more geared towards appealing to like younger kids or like teenagers.
I think you have like a point, kind of, but also I loved One Punch Man. You know what I mean? Like I thought
wouldn't
that was
consider-
amazing.
But I feel like One Punch Man is more satire than shonen. I was more thinking of like Baruto, Fire Force.
Oh, just like
Um,
strictly shonen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
My
kind of like
Hero.
these My Hero would actually fit into
I
this
like
pretty
Demon
well,
Slayer
yeah.
a lot. You know what I mean?
Demon
It's hard to
Slayer-
not like Demon Slayer.
Yeah, Demon Slayer has more of like a concise story. I mean, the manga is already finished.
Demon Slayer's
Um,
awesome. I
not only
cannot wait
that-
for the movie.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be amazing. But I think with some of the like Demon Slayer, because of its like gore content, I would almost say it's not geared towards like teenagers and like younger generation. But I could be wrong. But do you think like we don't really appreciate like Fire Force, Naruto, Bleach, and stuff like that as much anymore because we're not teenagers? And do you think we would actually even want to watch Bleach or Naruto that much if it came out now? Like started like episode 1
That's
now.
an interesting point, but I think it's more along the lines of maybe oversaturation with it. Like, since most of us have seen it, we kind of get the gist, and shows that are kind of following the footsteps, it's like, yeah, I've seen this before. Like, it's not as, I don't know. You're not like, wow, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's like, no, dude, there's a million anime that are just like it.
I mean, we grew up with the shonen trash. I mean, that was all that was broadcast on our TVs
Whoa.
on Toonami.
Have some respect.
Oh no, Yu Yu Hakusho is shonen trash.
You've never even seen it.
Yeah, I know, but I know it.
I've watched your favorite anime, all right?
Yeah, and it's awesome.
And when we talk about all the time about how it's kind of cool. Peaks episode 5.
Where's the philosophical deepness of the Dark Tournament arc, Michael? There is none. There is none.
You've never
There's
seen
no
it.
truth.
To counter that, My Hero is super popular, and Michael fucking
Yeah.
loves it, and Will loves
It's
it.
great, dude.
So, I mean, tons of people our age do. So I don't think it's
I-
necessarily a you grow out of it thing. Unless you
There's
want to say
something-
they're all man children that just love shonen.
Well, that might be true, guys. The jury's out on that one.
Well, I
That
know a
might
lot
be
of
true.
I do actually have like a fair amount of people that I know that half of them really like My Hero, the other half think it's shonen trash. So I would say it's split fairly like 50-50.
I
But
want a
the-
good shonen. I want a good fucking, a little bit different, but still all the main tropes shonen that I could just turn my brain off and just be like, yep, I'm into this. Go on and fight.
Check out Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, airing this season?
Mm-hmm.
That's on my list, dude. The fight scenes like
It's-
dope.
Go
it's,
on.
It's actually pretty good. Like the story is still kind of slow to get started, but it has like the shonen tropes. But it's cool. The graphic, I like the animation. I mean, I don't know. It feels kind of like early 2000s like anime, except it's kind of fresh and new, and it's has a pretty decent soundtrack. Like I've been enjoying it. I really have.
The action sequences and the fights are done by the same guy that did God of High School, which I haven't seen, but everyone says the fights are great.
The action sequences in God of High School are really good. It's fun. Not only that, but I really like the powers and stuff like that they're using. And maybe I just haven't watched it enough to be disappointed by it yet. But so far, it has been a thoroughly enjoyable experience.
It's definitely on my plan to watch list.
I just think there's something missing from shows like Fire Force. I don't know what it is, but it's the same shonen trash. But I mean, like I said, I can still get into shonen trash, but Fire Force was just missing something. I don't know. No clue.
Maybe because it's been done so many times, everything needs to have its own little spin or something that's unique that draws people in. Because we've all seen pretty fight scenes, you know. Like, we need something more. Maybe some more character development. Maybe it's like a different
But, I mean,
kind of
Demon
magic.
Slayer has pretty as fuck fight scenes, and it's the same bullshit that we've always seen. And I love Demon Slayer. So I don't know. No clue.
Hmm. I don't know. I think Demon Slayer made you care about the characters. And it's not like a character study,
Yeah.
but you care about his little sister, and you're like,
Hell
oh
yeah,
fuck, dude, like let him help you out. Let's
She needs
save
some
you.
head pads.
She
bro.
needs some head pads.
Also, for being mute,
Yo,
she
that's
has a
lewd,
lot of
guys.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think Demon Slayer is just so like it's not amazing. It's really good, but it just I don't know why I like that more than a Fire Force or something like that.
Well,
I think it's
first
just
off, the
better
animation's
story.
amazing.
It-
Boar Boy is the best boy.
Yeah.
Whatever his name
I
is.
think maybe it's because it doesn't take itself so seriously. All the animes, the shonen animes that we've talked about, don't take themselves too terribly seriously. They inject a lot of humor into everything.
Is that because we've had too
Yeah.
many way too serious animes?
Yeah, we grew up with the shonen, molded by it.
Yeah.
Born in it.
By
Or
the
af-
time, by the time we saw the light of slice of life, we were but a man. It was blinding.
It was
Mr.
blinding.
Wayne.
Like you go from the original Dragon Ball, where it's like fun and kind of an adventure, and he's only kind of risking his life, to immediately after that, the world's just gonna end for the next 300 episodes.
I just think we don't like shonen can't take itself too seriously for us to like it now. I don't know.
My
Feels
Hero
like all the
does.
great,
Does it not?
well,
Kinda.
You guys
Kinda.
wouldn't say? Like,
I think My Hero fucking just bombards you with so much bullshit that you don't have the mental energy to hate it.
What?
Like there's so many characters, so many powers, so much personality to each character. I mean, there's just so much going on that it just burns you out.
I think the thing with My Hero for me is that for a fucking shonen, the fights aren't good. Like they're super emotional, and that's the main aspect.
What about Icy Hot, bro?
I see how it's
Yeah.
pretty dope. No, but like
I
for
see-
example,
Icy Hot was
the
pretty dope.
fucking when All Might punches the guy, the bad guy. I don't know his name. The other
You
Might.
got it.
What's it? I don't know, bro.
Other
One
might.
for all.
Bad might.
Yeah, the other one. That fight's
All for
fucking
one.
lame,
All
dude.
for one.
They just talk a
It is all for
bunch,
one.
and he's like, "Oh, I have all these powers." He's like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna give up," and then he does the fucking USA punch and beats him. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
is that it? That was supposed to be the fucking climax." And I was like, "That's just more about like character developing and like passing on the torch. It's not about the fighting, which is what I
Yeah.
want in my fucking shonen. I want some fights."
But it was about passing the torch, not about the fight.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's like
You
it
just
feels
said it
like
yourself.
all the fights are not about the fight. They're about these other
Icy Hot
aspects
has
of the
daddy
character.
issues.
Yeah,
All
that
Might's
was
passing the torch.
yeah, the whole thing when he's flicking the ice in him, he's like, "Bro, this is
Yeah.
for you. I'm gonna make you use your other side because like then you can release your potential and like whatever with your dad."
Uh huh.
So it wasn't
But
really
when-
like the
Go
fight; it was just that. And I was like, "Dude, I'm fucking ugh." If I want some character development study, I wouldn't watch My Hero. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
So that's
I'm
my
not
That's what I
gripe
using
with
wanted you
it.
to say.
That is my gripe with it. Is it the
I'm not
fights?
using.
What I want
Sorry.
for it to be, it's not. And if I want what it's trying to be, I'll watch something else. If I want character development, then I'll go watch something that's character driven and a character study. But I want
I'm
some
not
fights.
using.
I guess that's why we do have different genres like slice of life, shonen, and things like that. They're not really going to interfere with each other, but if you're looking for just like mindless action, shonen usually has the answer. If you want like character development or like even romance, because God forbid there be romance and shonen.
There always is. They
Never-
always want it.
God
never just a
forbid,
hand
right?
holding.
Yeah. They all want the
There's
main
got to
guy.
be some sort of love
but he's
interest.
too dense, and it's like, oh, will they, won't they? I want
If there
Chad to rise up and just take them all. Feel like this is my harm now, boys.
God. But I mean, like, if you think about it, with like a shonen, like even if there is someone interested in another person, they're always like, I don't want to like distract him from his destiny. Romance has to come secondary. It's like, dude, you guys are like teenagers. Like,
You'll
you
be
want
okay.
romance.
You just want to bone down.
But
Stop
see,
lying to yourself.
I wasn't gonna be as crass as that, but yes, Paul, that's exactly what
I guess that's what I'm saying in
Yeah.
a way. Is that if
Yeah,
I want
Paul.
romance, I don't want it in my fucking shonen where it's not fleshed out. I'm gonna go watch Slice of Life or a rom com or like some kind of love story. Like if that's what I want, I'm gonna go to those different shows that do that. I don't want
Right,
it
does it-
half-assed.
Does anybody else have some disappointing anime?
Yeah.
So we can-
Anybody else? Mine was Sing Yesterday to me. Do not watch it. It'll make you sad because it's so middle of the pack and average.
Somehow we went from Sing Yesterday to me to railing on Shonen again.
As
Yeah,
you do.
well,
It's
that's
so
just how it
easy.
goes, man.
So some
It's a little
anime
too
that you
easy.
guys have recently seen or can remember in the past couple years that you were like really excited for or didn't know anything about and it just ended up being really disappointing.
We already talked about Attack on Titan. Thank
So-
God. Ugh.
The last season of My High School Love Story Snafu.
Why was it so disappointing?
It felt like they were trying to overcomplicate it and put drama and like basically they went from being a comedy with like pretty decent banter between the characters to the characters making things way too complicated in their interrelationships, and they never really and they just take themselves too seriously when this should have been a joke. This should have been funny. This should have been like more good banter, but that never really happens. You don't get any real conversation between like the two main characters in the third season until maybe like the last two episodes. And the stories about them falling in love. It was just disappointing. It was like I wanted something more, but it didn't give it to me.
Have you looked online and to see if other people feel that way?
No, but
I'm
I
sure
have
they
my
do.
opinions.
No, I'm just curious because sometimes you'll watch something and you're like, man, that was trash, or like that was super disappointing. You get online and people are like, I fucking loved it, and then sometimes vice versa. You're like, that was amazing. How could anyone not love this? And people are like, overrated trash, and they turn their nose at it. Like
Well,
my hair.
if anyone's listening to this, they can put in the comments what they think about that comment. I would love to hear it.
But there's also
wanna
something refreshing about when you think something is fucking middling and it's average and it's super disappointing and everyone else goes, yeah, it wasn't great. And you're just like, thank you. Oh, my brethren, you know my pain.
It's validating.
It is. It's like telling someone to watch an anime and they watch it and they love it. And you're just like, I know. I am the best. You're welcome.
Connor, how you feel about the last season of that show is how I feel about the last 2 seasons of Food Wars.
Oh man. Oh snap.
It was unfulfilling to me.
Oh, don't tell me that. I'm just about to start the 5th season of Food Wars.
There's 5 seasons? Holy
There's 5
shit.
seasons. That ended this past year, maybe like a few months ago. I really like the show, but I do think it should have been funnier towards the end. And like, I'll just let you watch it. I won't say anything else. I didn't know you were just about to start the 5th season. We'll
Watch it
circle back.
quickly.
Do
Yeah,
people's
we'll circle
clothes? Do people's clothes stop flying off when they taste food?
They do still fly off. Don't worry.
That's good. That's
The
good.
premise of the show.
That's good. Orgasmic food.
Yeah. For anybody who hasn't watched Food Wars, it's incredible. You should watch it.
It is really good.
What
David,
was-
that goes
first
out to
2
you.
Seasons that I've seen.
We have
My
3 out of
backlog,
3
though.
out of
My
4
backlog,
anime
though.
nerds
My
recommend it.
backlog, though. I say as I binge watched this shitty show the other day.
Yeah.
You binge watch the ultimate power trip trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talk to me about this disappointing show you just watched.
Wait, but first, Paul, what was that show that you said? Oh, Darlene the Franks. And you're like, that
Yes.
ending was so
That is
bad.
okay. I can't.
Oh
believe
yeah,
we
I
didn't
forgot
mention
about that.
I cannot
Yeah,
believe we didn't mention that shit.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I
It was
recently
such
finished
a-
Darling in the Franks, and it was
So give me a synopsis. What's it about?
It's
Don't
about
say robot.
teenagers.
Okay.
It's about teenagers piloting robots through the power of doggy style
Nice.
and fighting aliens. Kind
okay.
of. Are they
So
aliens?
the
Are they
Earth
aliens?
is like
Yeah, I mean, eventually.
the
they're
Earth is like post-apocalyptic. They're piloting robots through connection.
aliens.
Connection. I'll let you just watch it for that part, I guess.
You just
So
say
they're
it.
they're piloting robots in doggy style. That's the position they're in, but they're piloting it together. They have to like link up emotionally to pilot these robots at all. And then they fight beings that come from the Earth because the world is post-apocalyptic and they're all in these different hives, like siphoning magma from the Earth for powering all their shit, and that attracts these monsters that they kill.
So
And it's really, it's such a good fucking, it's a good character study anime.
Yeah.
And it's also a good mech anime too.
It just
With
doesn't
that.
end well.
So
It
is
just-
it great up until the ending and then it's trash?
Yeah, up until the last
It might fall off in the last like few episodes, but
3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah, that counts. But other
I
than
mean-
that, it's great and like wow.
Oh,
Other than that,
I mean, I
it's
love it.
great, dude. It's totally worth a
Yeah.
watch.
I loved it. But they tried to pull a Gynax ending, which is where you just blow everything out of the fucking water and all of a sudden introduce bullshit that had no meaning to the actual show. And they definitely pulled a Gynax and fucked it all up. So yeah, that is actually probably the most disappointing anime I have ever watched in my eyes. Like the ending was just so bad. All of a sudden aliens are involved and they're in like dimensional wormholes and shit like that, and you're just like, whoa, we were
Yeah.
just on Earth
Yeah.
fighting fucking monsters through the power of doggy style, and now the main girl turned into a giant ship.
It's
It's
more than
just
just
like
the power of doggy style, but
it is, but that is like the best way
Do
to
you
get
guys-
people.
spoilers, Paul.
Do you guys have issues with the power creep of things where like it starts off this and then just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier and you're like, what the fuck am I even watching at this point?
It depends on how it's done. So, like a great example of it being done well is Gurren Lagann,
Yeah, spiral.
where they're just in tiny robots, and then by the end of it, they're hurling full galaxies at each other.
but it's so hype.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. The next episode, they're fully embracing spiral energy, and they're hurling galaxies at each other, and everyone's totally okay with it.
But
And they just keep
Gurren Lagann's a satire, so it's kind of making fun of like the more serious like evolutions. I think it goes back. I personally don't care for it very much, because it feels like it gets haphazard, and authors will usually write themselves into a corner because it doesn't really feel like they've planned out what they wanted to go with these power jumps. And I think for an example with that is Naruto and Bleach. Like there's some serious power jumps, and I think you get to the point where it's like, well, it doesn't matter if you learn this new technique because next season it won't matter. Nothing's really accomplished, and the power dynamic never really changes. It just makes you want to think it does.
Because you have to keep re-upping yourself the crazier you go.
Is that how you feel about DBZ?
Didn't DBZ do that verbatim, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
DBZ will have a special place in my heart because I grew up with it. But that I recognize that that's nostalgia and not that it's actually good. I prefer Dragon Ball, which came before
Entirely
DBZ.
different vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball's an action adventure, and DBZ is just a shonen.
They just keep getting
Exactly.
stronger. And like, look how many iterations of Super Saiyan there are. There's so many I can't keep up. And it's like, when's enough? You know?
In Dragon Ball,
once they get
Goku
blue hair.
loses.
Yeah,
He
once they get
loses
blue
quite a
hair.
bit.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's
Yes.
like Dragon Ball 3, Super Saiyan 4. Oh, now Super Saiyan God. And you're like, all right, dude, okay, I get it, man. You just like relax. Like, ugh. It doesn't feel meaningful when they get these power ups because you know it's just going to pop up again. They'll be even stronger. And it's like the power levels get super skewed. That's what happened to Naruto, too. It used to be a show about ninjas and using like tactical thoughts to do stuff and throwing knives. And then it was just like giant superpowers that create these mega things that blow up and like, you know, planet busters. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
How did we get here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the moon into an eye. I'm just going to control everyone. You're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like when Shikamaru used to use his shadow to control people and use it tactfully.
Yeah,
like
that
that was
was dope.
awesome.
Mhm.
But then all of a sudden I don't know. I just the power creep in Naruto is insane.
But I think that has to happen with those, 1,000 long,
Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise
Those,
they just have to end.
yeah, which was what we're basically saying. Fucking end on a good note. Make a piece of art and then let it die. You don't have to keep sucking it dry.
There is something to be said for like an ending, like
Yeah.
a well done ending, dude. It cements it. It makes things special. Like, and I'm gonna go back to Cowboy Bebop because it has such a beautiful ending. But the reason why Cowboy Bebop is so good is because it ended.
Yep.
And we can talk
Fully
about
too.
it.
Short and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're
Is
like,
there
"Wait,
major
finish
power
season."
creep in Cowboy Bebop though?
No.
No,
Stop
because
that.
Cowboy
No.
Bebop
Stop.
surprisingly is more realistic. Like,
Cowboy Bebop's not fucking
Surprisingly.
shonen. It's like if you're not okay with power creep, you won't be okay with most shonen.
You know what ending I thought was disappointing, although I could accept it, was Samurai Champloo.
Yes.
It felt pretty whatever to me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. You
I
know?
like
Because I just wanted my boys to journey forever into the sunset.
I would have watched them journey forever.
I know.
Maybe they could have gotten some hand holding.
So
I know.
a good and recent example, has anyone seen Devil May Cry Baby?
No,
I have not.
I need to.
yes.
Oh, you have. So it has mixed reviews on what people think, but it's 10 episodes and it starts from we're in high school running track to literally the end of the world in 10 episodes. And you're like, what the fuck? Like things just get so out of control. But it's
What are
also,
those jumps?
what do you mean?
Like what?
Like what
How many
steps do they
steps does
get?
it take to get to the end of the world?
It goes from, without spoiling, it's like they're on a track team. There's demons. Demons are killing people. People are killing demons. There's a big war. It's the end of the world. All within 10 episodes.
Wow.
But I actually liked it. And I was okay with it because it wasn't like a power, like we have to keep one-upping each other. I think it was just supposed to be, this is how crazy things got out of control this quickly. Although it was, like, I'll admit it was kind of rushed. Because it was only 10 episodes and there's only so much ground you can cover. And it's like, from track to end of the world? All right. And I'm a sucker because the guy that made it did ping pong. And I'm just a sucker for that guy. Like, everything he does, I'm just like, oh, amazing. What do you think, Connor? You saw it?
I think you do get kind of swept up with it, especially because of like the visuals and just how insane it is. I think it almost lends itself to like the insanity of the show. Like it almost needs to be that fast paced and that just almost unbearable
Yeah.
because it's just that kind of art style. It feels like that's the author's like MO or
The
what he
f-
was trying to go
The
for.
first episode sets it up perfectly. They go to a club and there's just a bunch of death and blood and sex and murder, and it's
But
like,
you don't even know you can't even really tell that's about to happen because it's like two friends meeting up for the first time in a long time, and one of them like super normal, the other one is kind of like edgy, but you don't expect what's about to happen at that club.
yeah, that fucking crybaby.
Mhm.
I liked it. I liked it more than I didn't like it. But
No,
I,
I enjoyed it.
dude. And without spoiling, did you like the ending or not? I thought it was great.
Again, I think it lent itself to that genre and like
Mhm.
what that author was trying to do. I thought it was a very like it was a good ending. It ended right where it needed to be.
You guys should watch it if you have an inkling for it. It's 10 episodes.
I watched one episode and I was not a fan.
Is it the
I'll check it out.
animation?
It is the animation.
I don't okay, whatever. Fucking Paul. Dude, he
I will
can't
never
he
like
can't watch-
anyone from ping pong.
he
I
can't
will
watch
never like
any animation that's like slightly fringe or like a little bit out there. He's like, ew, gross. He can't even watch the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya because their eyes look weird to him. I don't know, bro. I don't
Paul,
fucking know.
Ping pong is so good.
I don't even want to
No.
get into that. That's just a
Ugh.
fucking whatever.
Ugh.
So,
That could be a whole podcast in itself.
It's like
so
looking at a pile of shit that moves.
I mean, yeah, I thought the same thing when I watched FMA.
Okay.
So-
fuck you.
So, starting with guilty pleasures, right?
Mm.
My personal favorite guilty pleasure is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I think it's
No.
really bad, but I
Fuck
love it.
you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I can't
Oh
tell.
my
I can't tell
God.
if he's memeing or
I
not.
don't know. I'm not. I don't think it's a guilty pleasure because I don't like it that much. No, it's I don't think it's anyone's guilty pleasure. But you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the real trash. The stuff that you like, you're like, yeah, what are you gonna do? It's fucking garbage, but I like eating it.
Paul,
Yeah.
you've been hinting at an anime for
Oh, yeah.
like the whole evening. Let's
The
hear it.
true degenerate
Aramanga Sensei.
pinnacle, Aramanga Sensei.
What is Aramanga Sensei?
It is about a brother and a sister. The brother is a semi-failing mangaka, and the sister draws lewd, hentai-esque manga.
Okay.
And it's basically just about their adventures. Well, okay, the brother like gets a good deal.
Are you telling me your guilty pleasure is hentai?
He draws up some good stuff and he gets a deal, but he needs an artist. And it just so happens that his sister becomes the artist, but she's it's pretty
But
lewd
this
and
is
she's
all about
drawing all
hentai.
lewd. It is kind of, it's not exactly hint. Well, yeah, some of it is. She like uses her friends as models for learning
I've
about the
seen-
anatomy.
I've seen the gifs, yeah. Maybe.
But
two.
it's a hilarious anime. The little sister's super fucking cute, and it's just a good feeling show. But like the
good
little
to have.
sister's afraid to come out of her room, and like
she's a dirty
the-
neat, right?
oh yeah, she is a dirty neat. And the older brother, tries to get her out in the world, and there's more wholesomeness to it. There's lots of wholesomeness. There's also a lot of lewd, but
Is there a fine balance there?
there is, and it strikes the perfect chord.
Well,
It
now
is,
we know a
it
little bit
is
more about
great.
Paul's mind.
It is awesome.
Yeah, that's a hell of a guilty pleasure.
I don't
Yeah.
even think that's a guilty pleasure. People love that shit, dude. I don't think people that enjoy that are
What's
like,
a guilty
oh, that's
pleasure
garbage.
to you then, David?
Oh, you want to know, eh? So the Demon Misfit Academy King guy. I don't know what it's called exactly. It's like the misfit of the Demon
Misfit
Academy.
Demon King Academy.
Bro, this guy is so overpowered. Okay, he's the reincarnation of the Demon Lord, whatever
Go
that
on.
means. If you want to, And he was like 1 month old, and he's like a full grown person. Like he's a baby, and his parents are like, "Look at our newborn baby. We're gonna name him." And then he says his name in like a really deep voice as a baby. He's like, "I'm Alvos Bagorola," and they're like, "What?" So he's super OP. He's way stronger than anyone. It's like kind of gaggy. It's almost like a One Punch Man. But it's just so over the top that it's like, holy shit, this is ridiculous. It doesn't
He
take
literally
itself too
kills
seriously.
someone with his fucking heartbeat.
Yeah. In the first episode, he fights this guy who's acting all tough, and he like makes his heart
Oh, that's
beat
kind
fast,
of awesome.
and he kills the guy. And then he brings the guy back with resurrection magic and does it over and over and over again.
Wow.
He's like so over the top, overpowered. It's not even. I don't think I've seen another anime that I was just like, holy shit, this is crazy. They're like fighting. He's fighting this entire team of magic people when they build this castle, and he just picks the castle up with his hand, throws it in the sky, and then just hurls it across the world. And you're like, oh, it's gonna be like this.
This is the one you and Paul have been watching?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking. That's a guilty pleasure to me. Like
That
it
sounds
is.
outrageous.
It is not great, but it is entertaining as fuck. There's
I'm
like
glad you
no
think so.
story. Have you seen it, Connor?
No, but I have no desire to.
It is some trash,
great.
brother. But it's
I don't know. I
entertaining.
almost feel like it's so bad I have to watch
It's
it.
fun, man. It's like he's just the best, and he's always okay. For example,
Like
he
a courtesy.
fights literally the god of time, and then the god of time kills him, and he's like, he comes back, he's like, huh, you think killing me would kill me? And you're like, what? And then he just like kills the god of time, and you're like, ah, all right, this is where we're at.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's like, you
Oh,
think
God.
killing me would kill me? It's like, what? How can you do this? He's like, because I'm the Demon King. Rah. It's just like, all right, bro. That's a guilty pleasure for me. And it's a
Sweet.
fun ride. It's not great, but it is so entertaining. It's worse than Overlord, bro. It's
Oh, yeah.
bad,
It's way worse than
dude.
Overlord.
I like Overlord. I like the over the top overpowered when it's that like
Oh,
oh,
it's way
Whoa.
over the top
it's
of
fu- it's
Overlord.
yeah, it's crazy.
An
I
anime
can't
that like
do it.
I would be embarrassed to tell y'all about. Is that what we're talking
No, maybe just
What do you
something
consider a
that
guilty pleasure?
something that you think that generally people don't like or they think is trash, or even yourself are like, it's not very good, but I enjoy the shit out of it. So people are like, if you're talking about music and they're like, oh, what's your guilty pleasure? They're like, bro, I bump me some Ariana Grande. I bump some Beyonce. Bruno Mars, Justin Biebs, oh, it's my jam. And they're like, I know it's not great, but I fucking love it. You know what I mean?
But I love it. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Do you need a minute, Michael? Or
Yeah, I need some time.
Not that there's
Okay.
anything wrong with those, because Ariana Grande she has some good albums. The Biebs, I'm okay though. No, thank you.
And mine's Machine Gun Kelly, but yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Connor? What's your guilty pleasure?
my guilty pleasure is actually Girls in Panzer.
Wow. Is it?
I watch it for the tanks.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm
What?
sure
Hold
you
on.
do.
What is this anime?
Girls, it's about middle school girls driving tanks around and fighting each other. But there's no blood, there's no real bloodshed, and everything's safe, and they're just really supportive of each other, and it's very wholesome.
Is
With
it actually
some
good?
tanks.
Is it actually good? I've never seen it.
It's a guilty pleasure, so
Ah.
good is a very it can be a very
Yeah.
disputed point. I like it. It makes me happy. I could probably sit down and watch it all day because it's just you find a happy place. Do I
Wait.
think it's like the best anime ever? Absolutely not. Can people misconstrue it? Absolutely.
You like it. You watch it for those big old treads, don't you?
He likes
And
it for the
huge
tanks, bro.
Land.
And the shells.
Watch it for the
the
tanks.
shells.
Yeah.
I watch it for the plot. I have a pizza for you, ma'am. Oh, but my plumbing's broken. I don't have any money. You should call a plumber. Yeah,
Yep, no, but that's probably like my biggest guilty pleasure.
that's dope.
Yeah.
Michael, last but certainly not least. You're like my hero.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, honestly.
With how much we bully you for it, it might be a guilty pleasure at this point.
I love it to death, but I'm not gonna sit here and say it's
Although,
the best show.
if you took 100 people that watch anime and said my hero, they'd be like, yeah, that shit's dope, dude. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and they'd all be fucking wrong.
I'm not sure about like a guilty pleasure that I truly have from a long time of watching anime, but a recent one that I've been watching, and I don't think it's good at all, is Cells at Work.
Oh,
I don't
I've
know.
heard of that one.
It's got
And
some...
I'm just like, I don't know, Paul. Have you seen it?
No, but I've seen the platelets, and I'm on board.
Yeah, I was telling David about it. So like the red blood cells are like workers. The body is like a huge ass city, and the hallways are like blood vessels or veins and shit. And the white blood cells are just like these total chads that kill all the germs. And then the platelets are just little kids. They're like very tiny children, and they're like walking around carrying stuff, and they're like, "Watch out, guys! There's stairs." And they're like all hunker down a little bit and start like slowly walking.
That's super
And it is-
funny.
It is not great so far, but I just like for some reason really enjoy it.
It's edutainment, bro.
Yeah.
I've never seen
Yeah.
it, but I feel like Food Wars would be a guilty pleasure that people would say. Like, not great.
Uh,
Is it actually great? As I imagine, it's just like super ridiculous. And
Food Wars
Over
is
the
actually
top.
kind of great. It's
Yeah.
it was shockingly good.
Here's a good
I-
one. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that Food War is like it's enjoyable. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The art's pretty good, and like not only do you get basically porn, but you also get food porn thrown into the mix.
Oh,
So it hits two ends. You know, it's good.
I don't know if I would consider this a guilty pleasure because everyone loves it, but they love it because it's a train wreck and has a great ending. Code Geass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a shit show, dude. And
That's not a guilty pleasure. I
That's
mean,
what
it's
I'm saying.
great.
I
but it's
don't
not a
know.
guilty fucking
Like,
pleasure.
is it? Because it's a wild ride that makes no sense the whole time.
It's mentioned
the
on way
ending-
too many Mal lists to be a guilty pleasure.
Like the ending
I
is
actually
great.
love
10 out of 10.
I love Cookie. Yes. No,
I like it
agree,
too.
David.
But dude, the second part is a shit show.
Deluge.
Yeah.
That's great.
I Where You Not to Die. The guy with the time stop and the fucking when he tells the girl to kill all the people, she just mows them down with a machine gun. You're like, what the fuck? When he plays chess and the guy moves his king, and then he just moves his king towards his king, and he's like, whoa, what do you mean?
Nani?
Yeah, he's like, I knew you wouldn't take it, you bitch.
This
It's
sounds
just
awesome.
I don't know.
You've never seen Code Geass, Michael? What the fuck?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Just-
okay. Okay, good. I was about to be.
Code Geass is,
I know you were already yelling.
it's-
I know. I was about. I'm sure my mic peaked at that point.
It
Yeah.
did.
I would say it's kind of a classic, or at least a cult
It
classic.
definitely is a classic at this point. But
When did
I
it come
still
a while.
2000s.
God, it's just 2020.
See, stuff
the
like
problem.
Bo Fury, I don't think is a guilty pleasure. I think it's just actually good.
No, it's just cute girls doing cute things.
And it's
Oh, dude,
funny.
Bo Fury was
That's Girls in
incredible.
Panzer.
No,
Cute girls doing X. There's a fishing one. There's a baseball one. There's a rock climbing one. You know, there's weightlifting. It's like,
The way you were talking about those tanks, Connor, I don't think it's just cute girls
Yeah,
doing cute
I
things.
think it's all about the tanks, brother.
Historical tank. They're the cute girls driving historical tanks, man. It's all about the history.
History of hand holding, maybe.
The lewdest of all.
The
They
lewdest
do
of
hold
all.
hands. They do hold hands.
is it cute girls doing cute things, but with tanks?
But with a little bit of
Yes.
Yuri.
I
Mm.
mean, yeah, they
Oh.
literally just drive around tanks and they fight for friendship and like camaraderie and
Well, that's all,
it's
all I can ask
wholesome.
for.
I know.
That's funny.
I,
Taste my panzer of freedom and friendship.
And especially when they pull out some, like they have some really cool tanks. Like they do actually have a pound, like someone drives around a Panzer, and you're like, well,
Panzer.
damn.
Do they blitzkrieg through the town?
Absolutely, yes, they do actually.
Oh, are they like super?
Really?
Are they like bloodthirsty and like attack?
Yeah, well, so like each of the schools has like a different theme. So you have like the main character school, like they just have a bunch of different types of tanks. But then you have one school that has a bunch of Chinese tanks, then you have one that with a Russian tanks, and then you got one that's a US tanks, and then you have one that has German tanks. And
Hey,
they
show
all
sounds like actually good.
it's enjoyable, dude. I actually go ahead watch it. Just like watch an episode or two. Some of the talking can be
What's
boring.
the name again? Let me write this down.
Girls und Panzer.
Panzer.
Girls
Girls.
Panzer.
Now I really know how to spell it.
So girls und, so I think it's U-N-D and then Panzer, like how you would spell Panzer.
Panzer.
Add that to the
Okay.
incredible backlog of animes.
Watch Eramaga Sensei. You won't regret it.
I think honestly,
Can you
Michael,
spell that one for me?
out of everything we've said, you would like fucking Demon Misfit Academy guy.
You would. I mean, it's hard to not like.
It's fucking dope, dude. You think killing me would kill me?
People
Uh,
die when they're killed.
Oh, it's
Misfit
so
of
funny.
Demon King?
Yeah, it's the Misfit,
Misfit
of the
of
Demon
Demon King
Academy.
Academy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then Eramaga Sensei.
I already wrote that down.
That should have stars by
Why
it.
don't you watch the original, the Orihime, that one?
I don't know. I mean, I only have room in my heart for one.
It's the same thing, and they end
for
up
one-
not spoiling. There's like I've seen her in wedding gowns, so I think they end up together. I think they get married.
Well, I don't want marriage.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, unadulterated
Way
hand holding.
Way too lewd. Yeah. That was another successful podcast. We will try to have a title for y'all next time we come on next week. We record either Tuesday or
Title.
Thursday. But anyway, it's been fun. Like and subscribe. Dab. All right.
Wow.
See y'all,
Dab.
see y'all later.
Damn.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace.